Mr. Chairman, it's 6:58. You do have a quorum, but we will wait until 7 o'clock just to make sure that we start on time. And for everyone that is on the call, we are going to start with the Warren Building Code Board of Appeal. There are two matters that we quickly need to address, and then we will move to the regular zoning board meeting. So indulge your patience as we work through those two items. Heidi, are you able to hear okay?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I have 7 o'clock. This is the December 16th meeting of the Warren Building Code Board of Appeal. I will do the roll call. Mr. Adelman?
Okay, thank you very much,
Mr. Ellis
Bob.
is here. Mr. Holby is here. Mr. Ranone is here. And Mr. Nystrom is here. Mr. Thibodeau is excused. And I believe that member Sylvia has submitted his resignation because of conflicts with work. You do have a quorum if you would like to call the meeting to order, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Thank you, Mr. Rulli.
So the reason that we have these two matters first is that both of these applications were heard at the last meeting and approved. Unfortunately, we had a deficiency in the notice. There was no notice put to the Secretary of State. With consultation from the Solicitor's Office, we have had transcripts of both of those meetings submitted into the record as evidence. So unless anyone is here, before I call the application, unless someone is here with new testimony or new evidence, we are going to just simply move to reaffirm the vote that was taken at the last meeting. The first application is application 20-01A, Salem Severia Land Company, owner and applicant, 189, 195, 201 Main Street, plat map 2, lot 78 and 79. It's a request for an appeal under section 32-5A under 32-6 to authorize and direct the building official to issue a zoning certificate for the above property, acknowledging it as a 12-unit apartment complex. Is there anybody from the public that has any testimony? Go ahead, Ben.
Mr. Chairman, I would suggest a motion to reconsider this appeal based on what Bob described and take a roll call vote just to get it back on today's agenda.
Okay, should we start with that then?
Yeah, correct. A motion to reconsider.
Well, and who would make that motion? One of the board members?
This is the vice chair. I'll make the motion that we reconsider the application from the prior month's meeting per the transcript that has been submitted into the record.
Is there a second to Mr. Ellis's motion?
This is Mr. Nystrom. I'll second the motion.
Mr. Nystrom seconds it. I will do the roll call. Mr. Ranone?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Nystrom?
Aye.
Mr. Holby? You're muted, Barrett.
I wonder why you didn't hear me second it. Yes.
Mr. Adelman?
Yes.
Okay, now is there anyone from the public that wants to offer any new testimony or comment on the application? Hearing none.
Excuse me, I was trying to get to my unmute button. Attorney Bruce Cox for the record on behalf of the applicant. And no, I'd like to ask that the recorded record be submitted in this evening, only supplemented if anything by the CV of Mr. Antone Diaz, that who had testified previously, and the CV had been submitted to the clerk subsequent to the meeting.
Okay, so moved.
So is there, and would the appropriate motion be to reaffirm the vote from the previous meeting?
Correct. Yes.
So if somebody would like to make that motion,
All right, so this is the vice chair. I'll make the motion that the motion I made at the previous meeting, as stated in the transcript that has been part of the record, I would again move to approve it based on the findings of facts that are in the transcript submitted.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Mr. Holby seconds it. Mr. Renone,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Nystrom,
Yes.
Mr. Holby,
Yes.
Mr. Adelman.
Yes.
Thank you. Second matter is, and following the procedure from the first application, the first matter would be a motion to reconsider the application 20-02-A, Ronald Javeris, applicant and owner, Brenda Javeris, owner. I'm sorry, Ronald Javeris, applicant, owner is Brenda Javeris, 15-17 Birch Swamp Road, plat map 22, lot 60, request for an appeal under section 32-74 and overturn the July 23rd, 2020 decision of the Department of Building and Zoning.
This is the vice
This motion
chair.
was
I'll make a
mine.
motion to reconsider this application from last month's meeting based on the transcript that has been submitted for the record.
This is Mr. Renone. I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Renone, Mr. Ellis makes the motion, Mr. Renone seconds it. Is there anyone from the public or on this call that would like to add additional comment that has not been heard previously with respect to this application? I would ask that you use the raise your hand icon so I can recognize you. Mr. Chair, I'm not seeing anyone. So similarly, if somebody would make a motion to reaffirm the vote from the previous meeting.
No, this is the vice chair. I don't think we voted on, we didn't vote on reconsidering it.
Oh, correct.
Good
Thank you,
point.
Mr. Ellis. I'll do the roll call for reconsideration. Mr. Renone,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Nystrom,
Yes.
Mr. Holby,
Yes.
and Mr. Adelman.
Yes.
Now, repeating what I said previously.
I can make, this is Mr. Raynone. I can make a motion to reaffirm the motion and vote that was taken when last we heard, based on the testimony and transcript that's been entered into the record.
Is there a second?
This is Mr. Nystrom. I'll second the motion.
Mr. Renone makes the motion. Mr. Nystrom seconds it. I'll do the roll call. Mr. Ellis,
No.
Mr. Holby,
Yes, I think.
Mr. Nystrom,
Yes.
Mr. Adelman,
Yes.
Mr. Renone,
Yes.
4-1. Thank you. Is there a motion now to adjourn the Warren Building Code Board of Appeal meeting?
This is the vice chair. I'll move that we adjourn the Building Code Board of Appeal.
Is there a second?
This is Mr. Raynone. I'll second.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Nystrom,
Yes.
Mr. Holby,
Yes.
Mr. Adelman,
Yes.
and Mr. Renone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Rulli. Now on to the Warren Zoning Board of Appeal. Board of Review, sorry.
So I will do this one more time. So Mr. Renone is here, Mr. Ellis is here, Mr. Nystrom is here, Mr. Hobie is here, Mr. Alderman is here. You do have a quorum. The first matter is approval of the minutes from November 18th, 2020.
Is there a discussion or any comments by the members of the board? Or anybody would like to make a motion?
This is Mr. Renone. I will make a motion to approve the minutes as circulated.
Is there a second?
I'll make a motion. I'll second it.
Mr. Renone makes the motion and Mr. Hobie seconds it to accept the minutes of the November 18th meeting. Mr. Renone?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Nystrom?
Yes.
Mr. Adelman?
Yes.
And Mr. Hobie?
Yes.
Okay, under old
Mr.
business application.
Mr. Rulli, excuse
Yes.
me, before we move on, I think that I'm looking just ahead at the agenda. And since I will need to recuse myself on the second item, application number 20-53, Forester Mill, does that still give us a quorum?
I believe you have 4 still, Ben, is that correct?
That's not a quorum.
No, you need 5 members.
You need 5.
We need 5. So Chuck said, Mr. Thibodeau said that he would be able to dial in at 8:15 or so. And I have not heard, I reached out to him a few hours ago asking him to do so, but I've not gotten confirmation from him.
Nor have I.
So I think if that applicant is here, they're more than willing, or they're willing to hold on till 8:15 or so to see if Mr. Thibodeau is available.
Mr. McCoy?
Thank you, Mr. Rulli and Mr. Chairman. I did just hear that. I am here. Jay Littman is also, I see on the call. He is the manager of Fielding International LLC. Obviously, we'd rather be heard tonight, so I can speak for him unless he objects. I think it probably just as soon wait, and hopefully Mr. Thibodeau will get here as soon as he can, and we can get it dealt with tonight rather than waiting another month. Jay, do you agree with that?
Yes, I do. I'm not sure, Paul, are you recusing yourself because we know each other, or because I know a lot of people here?
No, the reason I'm recusing myself is because I'm involved with the project next door and a butter to the Forester Mill.
Gotcha.
It's the Warren Gateway project with the town of Warren at the moment and another client. So as an interested party of a shared easement and parking, I've recused myself recently on a similar application, and I'll do so here as well.
Yeah, and I can confirm that, Jay, Mr. Adelman has recused himself in some prior tenants we've had before this board.
Yeah. So then what I'll ask is that Ms. Fortin, if she could, during this next hour, try to reach out to Mr. Thibodeau, that would be helpful.
So Rhonda, if you didn't hear that correctly, if you could try to reach Mr. Thibodeau and then use the chat function to message me whether or not you were successful or not. I don't want Mr. McCoy and Mr. Littman to be hanging around and Mr. Thibodeau is not going to show up. That would be unfortunate. Is that okay, Mr. McCoy?
That's the best I think we can do, Mr. Rulli. I agree. So I will again mute myself and keep an eye on things, and well, hopefully he'll show up sooner than later.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Under old business application 20-45, that application has been withdrawn. Under new business application 20-51, Kirsten Felici, sorry if I misspoke your name, owner, and John Sheridan applicant, 15 Circuit Drive, plat map 16, lots 215, request for a variance under sections 32-77 and 3289 to construct a detached one-car garage with less than required front and side yard setbacks, to exceed the maximum lot coverage and place a new on-site wastewater treatment system within 150 feet from a body of water in the R20 residential overlay zoning district. Is Mr. Sheridan or Ms. Felici?
Thank you, Mr. Rulli. Is the applicant here and present? And please identify yourself and give your address for the record. And then please proceed to present the application of what you are asking for and the reasons why. And then we will move on to a public hearing portion and then return back to the applicant and the board for discussion.
So, Mr. Sheridan, are you appearing under the pseudonym of Michelle Richards?
Yeah, I don't know why that pops up like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, so my name's John Sheridan. Good evening. I'm the architect and the applicant for the owner of 15 Circuit Drive. The owner is Kristen Felici, and she is present at tonight's meeting as well. One correction on the agenda is I double checked my application, and I'll explain this in my opening, is that the garage addition is attached. So I'm not sure what that means for you guys technically, but I'll go through my presentation. The owner requests relief to allow for an attached one-car garage with a direct connection to the interior of the existing main house. The owner is also seeking approval to connect the main house to the existing accessory structure with a covered breezeway to create a walkway protected from the weather. The accessory structure has a guest bedroom where her parents stay. The owner is requesting relief from the following: relief from the required 40-foot front yard setback. The proposed garage addition's left front corner will be 24 feet from the front corner, from the front property line, and the right front corner will be 32 feet from the front property line. The existing house current setback is 25 feet. Also relief from the required 25-foot side yard setback. The proposed garage addition's front side corner is 12 feet, will be 12 feet from the property line, and the rear side corner will be 32 feet from the property line. The existing house is set back 25 feet. It's the back corner is 22 feet, I'm sorry. Finally, the other relief is for the 15% lot coverage. The proposed addition will bring the lot coverage to 16%. The current house is 13%. And even with the additions, the structures themselves would only be 13%. It's the decks and the covered porch that bring it up to over the 15%. And finally, as per most of the people in Tuisit, they're replacing their cesspool with a septic system, which they're within 100 feet of the Kickapoo River. The owner reached out to most of the abutters via email and received numerous supportive replies, particularly support from both of the neighbors on each side of her property. The variance is somewhat needed because of the unusual shape of the lot and the orientation of the existing house, which is angled on that lot. And the addition is a pretty small scale and is consistent with the neighborhood. Thanks for the attention to the application, and I'm available for questions when you guys are ready.
Mr. Sheridan, is the existing garage a one-car garage or a two-car garage?
The existing accessory structure is a one-car garage, so and the other half of it is living space, and then upstairs is a bedroom.
Understood. Okay.
And it's a pretty small one. It's 10 feet wide. It's a pretty small one car. Currently, it's used not to put a car in it, but I think it's storage right now. So.
I see. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't have any questions at this time. Does anyone else on the board?
This is the vice chair. So the accessory structure is no longer going to be an accessory structure after this work. It's going to be connected to the main house. Is that correct?
Yes.
So it'll be part of the principal structure.
Yeah.
And so the relief we're requesting is to maintain the 3.5-foot setback to that garage bedroom
Correct.
structure.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What is the dimension of relief needed? I did not see a plan of the septic treatment system. So how much relief are you requiring to the location of the septic from the required 150 feet?
The septic, which I thought I submitted a plan, is if you look at the site plan, Andrew,
Yes.
it has to be located kind of at the top of those beach stairs. They'll go down the bluff because of distances to neighboring the well of the house on the east side. So on the garage, proposed garage addition side, their well is right along their property line. So it really goes into that little triangle corner there where I've written the 40-foot building restriction line. So that's the only place it can go.
And so how far is it from the mean high water line to the top of bluff? Do you have an estimate?
From the mean high tide to the top of the bluff, it's probably 45 feet.
All right, so the septic system would be located 45 feet from the coastal feature as opposed to the 150 that's required.
Sharon, has that application been submitted for the on-site wastewater treatment system to DEM yet?
It has.
And has it been approved?
It has, yes.
You'd probably be do we have that? Has that
No.
been submitted to us?
I don't, that's why I was asking. I didn't see any documentation of the plan.
On
or the
the,
DEM letter.
Yeah, on my application, I noted the approval DEM on 8/11/2020.
If you could get us a copy of their approval.
Yes.
Oh, that was it for the time being.
Mr. Nystrom, any questions?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Mr. Holby?
Yeah, John, the garage, the structure with the breezeway, I drove by, I can't remember. That's existing or is that to be built? That's existing,
That's to
right?
be built. Yeah, right now there's just the existing deck that runs along that side of the house. And then you step off the deck, it's just 2 steps, and then walk across to an entrance on that side of the accessory structure. So it's just lawn right now.
So, wow, 3.5 feet.
No, sir. This is the vice chair. Barrett, I don't know if it wasn't clear when Mr. Sheridan was speaking. The accessory structure is existing. The 3.5 feet is already what's there.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. But so, John, why'd you say it's to be built? You're going to remodify it?
No.
The breezeway connecting the accessory structure to the house
is
the
new.
new
Yeah.
construction.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. But the little structure that's 3.5 feet is already there, correct?
Yeah, that's kind of an old. It used to be a garage years and years ago. Yeah.
That's what I recall. Okay.
But Mr. Barrett, since that breezeway is now connecting the accessory structure to the main house, it becomes part of the main house and the main principal structure
Got it.
because it's connected.
Right.
Any other questions or comments, Mr. Holby?
No.
Mr. Renone?
No questions.
Any other questions or comments from members of the board? Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak with respect to this application?
I would.
And if you would just identify yourself, your name and address, please.
Hi, my name's Lori Adams. I'm at 4 Circuit Drive. So I am behind that property. And this new plan would block both of my water views, which I understand. If I don't own waterfront property, I don't have a say, but I just don't want it to go unopposed because I think it's going to be a big change to the nature and the character of the neighborhood. It's kind of what's happening in Tuiscit is properties are changing and taking up every inch of water space and the views that go along with it. And it really takes away from the enjoyment of the people that live here. So I just wanted to put that out there. I would like to not see this happen. I don't want to give them any extra room to make this happen because they are taking up that whole corner of property as it is. So that's my 2 cents.
Does anybody have any questions for? Ms.
Yeah,
Adams?
this is the vice chair, John. I don't think we had mentioned, there's a second floor addition to the house, correct?
Right.
So the setbacks, the 40-foot setback, the addition would also be needing relief. The extension of the second floor would fall within that line. Is that true? Or is the addition entirely, the second floor addition entirely within the setbacks?
The second floor addition is, if you're looking at the site plan, the second floor is set back. Let me get my scale here.
Yes, I'm looking, John, at the floor plans. The garage, I see it's 10 feet to the first floor addition, right where the laundry and the bath is.
Yeah.
And does the second floor sit directly on top of the laundry and bath?
No, it's back. So that laundry room is 10 feet back from the front of the garage.
Yeah.
And the second floor is 16 and a half feet back from the front of the garage. So if I was saying that corner of the garage is 24 feet plus 16, but it's on an angle. So, let me get my scale. But yeah, it's not, it's back from that. So it's, let me get that for you roughly. That goes out. It only goes to here. So that structure roughly would still be, I'm kind of doing this on the quick, but it is within the 40-foot setback. But it's behind the front of the house.
So it does protrude into the 40-foot setback, but it's behind the front of the house.
Yes. Yeah.
So the second story addition would be part of the relief.
Yes, that is correct. So that is right there. So I would say the second floor addition is 32 feet back from the front property line.
Okay.
At its closest point, because the house is on an angle, so it actually goes, at the far right side, it goes back into the 40-foot setback, but at its frontmost point, it's 32 feet.
All right. And what is the structure staying within the height limitation for this area with the addition?
Yeah, it's if you look at the front elevation, it's keeping within the roof line of the existing house and not going any higher and not going any wider.
So you would say that the addition of the second floor is not protruding up any higher than what's already there?
Correct.
But the addition on the second floor, it's not all behind the house. Isn't that protruding south or at least southwest? And is that what Lori's concerned about, the blocking that view, or what exactly is going on there?
Yeah, the second floor doesn't
change anything with a deck or anything like that?
No. The second floor addition at the front is just, within it's set back from the front of the house and it's within the side. It doesn't go beyond the height or the sides of the house.
Because there's already a second floor on the house, right? You're just expanding it.
Yeah. We're just bumping out over an existing roof,
And the master bedroom is going over
an existing.
I have- the existing garage.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No. The master bedroom is on the back of the house. That's not a factor in any setbacks. It's going over.
Bedroom 3. Bedroom number 3.
Bedroom 3 is going over the garage?
Yeah, bedroom 3 in the front. And the bath 2 get extended out over the existing first floor roof.
Yep.
Like 6'6".
Yeah, but where's the little garage study that's going to be built? New,
There's no garage study.
well, garage, new 1-story garage.
Yeah, I think, Barrett, there's nothing on top of the garage. I think the garage just has a roof and there's no living space on top of it. It looks like all the living space is just a bump out of the existing mass of the second floor.
Okay. Well, I don't know why I can't get this organized in my.
Yeah, on the site plan, the proposed garage is the darkened blue building.
Right. And I see the roof line off of bedroom 2. The no darkened blue building. Bedroom 2's closet sort of overlooked that top of the garage. Is that correct?
No, but I think Barrett, bedroom 3 is the one that's touching the roof of the garage.
Oh, okay, got it. All right, sorry. Thank you for that help. So,
All right, so this is the vice chair. The point I was trying to make, Mr. Sheridan, was that basically the massing and height of the house, you're not adding additional height or creating a second floor where none existed. There's an existing second floor and you're expanding it in 2 directions.
Yes.
That's accurate.
Yeah, and the garage, the portion that goes into the side yard, is somewhat of a lean-to. It starts pretty low. It's only 7.5 feet off grade, and then it rises up to kind of meet the roof lines that are existing, make it all work out.
Are there any other concerns, comments, or questions from either the board, or is there anything additional, Ms. Adams, you would like to add?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a question for you, Miss Adams. Lori, what part of this structure is going to get away in the view? What part is it? Just the breezeway? The existing little garage is already there. What's exactly is it?
No, I think it's both sides. It's the breezeway and it's the garage, the big new garage on the other side. I just think it's going to take away a lot of the view on both sides.
All right.
So if there's no other comments from the public, we should close the public comment period and bring it back to the board for any further questions to the applicant. And then we should, if there's no discussion or questions, we should consider a motion.
Well, I have a question for John then. When I looked at the property's sort of up on a hill, and the new 1-story garage, does that actually block the view from the street? Is there enough room there to be blocked?
I mean, it depends on what what's odd about the house is it's on an angle. So the garage addition really is not much further beyond the existing side of the house, but it's because it's on an angle, it does bite off a little more of that kind of alleyway. The house to the right is another 14 feet from the property line. So there's still a 26-foot view corridor there. It just really depends on what angle you're looking at it at. Of course, it blocks something.
Oh, yeah, I have a hard time with this. And what about the breezeway? How much does
And the breezeway,
that's all jammed up.
Yeah, the breezeway is pretty transparent. I mean, really, from the street, you're looking at 3 columns and a flat roof.
John, this is Mr. Rainone, if I may. Is the hedgerow that is currently between the house and the accessory structure going away when the breezeway goes in, or will that still be there?
Yeah, did you see that like on Google Walk By?
Yeah.
Yeah, that hedge has been gone for a while. Yeah, in the past it had this massive hedge. There was no view there before. So now I don't know how long ago they removed that. That's been gone for a few years, but
okay.
Yeah, there was a hedge that just went crazy. It was a wall of green. Yeah.
And did you get any other neighbors, the neighbors on each side to agree to this, or do they?
Yeah, they both, the most impacted neighbor on the right, Patrick Healy, actually had numerous questions, about septic and location from his well, and, as well as what the total distance really is between the structures to his house. And I addressed those, and then he responded with an email to Kristen in support. And on the left, that was an email of support as well.
It's already in the package.
Yeah.
Mr. Adelman, how would you like to proceed?
I would like to, if there's no more questions, then I'd like to consider a motion by a member of the board.
This is the vice chair. I shall make a motion to approve application number 2051, Kristen Felici, owner, and John Sheridan, the applicant, 15 Circuit Drive, Plat 16, Lot 215, requesting a variance under 3277 and 3289 to construct a detached one-car garage with less than the required front and side yard setbacks to exceed the maximum lot coverage and place a new OWTS within 150 feet from the body of water in the R20 overlay district. In moving approval of the application, we find that the hardship is due to the unique character of the land or structure. It is an unusual sort of pie-shaped wedge of a lot with the house sitting at an angle, not orthogonal to any of the setbacks. So the intrusion on the setbacks of being proposed is due to the way the existing house is sited on this unusual lot. It's not the result of prior action of the applicant or desire for greater financial gain. The purpose of the relief is to allow the construction of a one-story garage attached to the house, a breezeway connecting an accessory structure to become part of the main building, and the extension of a second floor into part of the front yard setback. It's not going to alter the character of the surrounding area or impair the comprehensive plan. There are similar situations throughout this neighborhood where garages and other structures are close to the property lines. The houses in this area were largely built before the setback requirements were enacted. So it's fairly common that relief is required for alterations to these properties. We find that the relief being sought is the least amount necessary, in that the requested relief for lot coverage, they're going to be at 16%, where 15% is required. The front yard, 40 feet is required, and it is proposed we will have a 3.5 foot setback, and that is the existing setback to what was formerly an accessory structure that is now going to be connected to the main house. The rear yard remains the same. The east side yard, 25 feet is required, and the new garage, due to the angle of the existing structure at its closest, will be 12 feet to the property line. The OWTS system within 150 feet of a body of water, based on the testimony of the applicant, will be approximately 45 feet from the body of water, locating it in the only feasible area on the site to avoid conflicts with adjacent wells. We were not to grant the dimensional variance. It would be more than a mere inconvenience, in that it would preclude the OWTS from being located on the property, which is required and approved by DEM, which the applicant will submit such approvals to the office of the zoning official. And the other relief, it would form more than a mere inconvenience for the garage and the addition, in that due to the angle of the house, it would be impractical to orient those additions in a different manner.
So Ellis has made the motion. Is there a second?
This is Mr. Renone. I'll second.
Okay. I will do the roll. Mr. Adelman,
Yeah, aye.
Mr. Holby,
Can you come back to me?
Mr. Nystrom,
Aye.
Mr. Ellis,
Aye.
Mr. Renone.
Aye.
And driving around the block one more time to Mr. Holby.
Well, I'll vote yes.
Holby votes yes. Thank you. Quite so I've not heard from Mr. Thibodeau, so we are going to move to the next application. And Mr. Chair, you might want to entertain a motion to combine these next two as they relate to the same parties and the same property.
Yes. So thank you. We should entertain that. One is for a special use permit. One is for dimensional variance. Would you like to read the application, Mr.
Yep.
Rulli?
So the first one is application 20-54, Salomon Irrevocable Trust owner, Edward Gauthier, and I apologize in advance, Natasha Ridling, applicants, 676 Main Street, plat 5, lot 101. Request for a special use permit under section 32-47 to convert a two-family dwelling to a three-family dwelling in an R6 zoning district. The second is application 20-55, same address, same parties, same map, lot. And this is a request for a variance under section 30-77 and 32-79 to convert a two-family dwelling to a three-family with less than the required lot area, frontage, front and side yard setbacks, and parking spaces in the R6 district.
Thank you. So is the applicant,
For the applicant, if you would identify yourself.
Yes, hello. My name is Nastasia Ritling.
Good evening.
and your address for the record?
So the address of this property is 676
Is that where you reside now, or where is your legal address?
244 Brook Street, Rehoboth, Massachusetts.
Thank you. Heidi, you got that? Good. Okay. If you could share with the board what it is you are looking to do.
Yes, so myself and Edward Gothier are currently under contract for this property using an FHA 203K loan. And we would like to convert this duplex into a 3-family with less than the required lot area, frontage width and depth, and the side yard setbacks. The property is 3 floors, and currently the 3rd floor is mostly unfinished space. So we see this as an opportunity to add a 3rd unit here because it's set up really well for a 3rd unit. It has 2 egress points with stairwells to the front and rear of the house. And with this 203K loan, we see the house has a lot of potential, and we would like to update it inside and out, and along with the 3rd floor. If we get approved, we would add this. We see that it would bring a lot of value to the home.
Thank you. Gentlemen.
This is the chair. So with respect, this is in reviewing your application, it seems that there's a lot of requests for variances that you're requesting. I counted up a total of 7 variances, which is quite a bit for any application. On top of that, you're requesting a special use permit. And my biggest question, one question was exactly where is this 3rd floor unit going to be located? There's no floor plans indicating a proposed 3rd unit, which has a variety of stipulations for egress and how big it is. And so I feel like the application and also the site plan could be better. I mean, so I have a feeling that the amount of requests that you're asking for, the application is inadequate for review. Okay. I think that there needs to be more information presented for myself to make a decision on this application.
Okay. What should be added for next time? Just a different site plan, or?
I think there's, me personally, the site plan do a scale showing demarcated parking that is perhaps dimensioned than the number of spaces. I know that I see now on the back, there is a sketch of a floor plan. Sorry, I misspoke. I do see the floor plan now. I didn't see it earlier in my review. Okay. I apologize. So could you tell us a little bit about then, is there, out of all the relief that you're requesting, the 7 relief, could you walk us through that, please, for the dimensional variances?
Sure. And I see on my application here, the 4 points of relief, so I'm not sure what the other 3 would be. I'm requesting 4,602 square feet lot area, frontage width 16 feet, depth 14 feet, and side yard 9 feet.
This is the vice chair. I would just say that with regard to what's being requested, it's basically to confirm the existing conditions, that none of the relief, I mean, the lot is what it is, the size, the setbacks to the house, she's not altering them. It's basically that they don't meet the existing setbacks and dimensional criteria, don't meet what is required for a multifamily in the R6. I mean, is this already a 2-family?
Yes.
So I would dare say it probably doesn't meet those requirements either as it is.
I think it's an existing non-conforming.
Yes. Yeah, so the existing structure is a two-family, in all probability does not meet the requirements for a two-family in this district in terms of, lot size and et cetera, the setbacks. And you're not proposing to alter any of those things. Just that we need to sort of, in my opinion, reconfirm the acceptability of the existing setbacks because you are changing the use from a two-family to a proposed three-family.
And making sure that they have proper amount of parking for adding
Yes.
a unit.
I think from the parking plan that's been submitted, I would agree with Paul that it is a bit ambiguous, although the dimensions that have been provided seem to lend themselves to potentially accommodating the number of spaces you would need, although it would be more helpful, I think, if you actually drew in the number of spaces that are needed in the parking area and show how that's going to work.
Okay, I'm wondering if you then don't have the updated site plan. I do have here 4.5 spaces. I don't know.
You don't have.
So, yeah, we have
I
something.
believe it's on.
Is it?
Okay, I did submit an updated site plan.
Mr. Ellis, if you look on the back side of the sheet that itemizes the dimensional requirements in the variance application, there is actually a parking lot layout that shows 5 spaces.
Yeah.
To that effect, I would question that one of those spaces appears to be blocked by 2 of the other spaces. So I do question the viability of that particular parking layout under the circumstances. So I think there may need to be some additional thought given to how that parking lot is laid out. As we sit here anticipating 8 to 12 inches of snow, I'm sort of trying to figure out how you would manage to plow that particular parking layout if all 5 of those spaces were occupied.
Yeah. And we're looking at 1.5 spaces per dwelling unit, so 4.5 rounding up to 5 spaces. And I thank you, Jason, for pointing out. I thought all the drawings were in the front here. The thought of how the parking is laid out maybe needs a bit more refinement. But I do think that the area of property shown being dedicated to parking would accommodate at least 5, if not more, spaces. So perhaps it's maybe a potential condition that an updated parking plan be submitted to delineate that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you, the applicant, can you testify what is, from your own knowledge of the neighborhood, I know you're just purchasing this, but can you give us a general sense from your point of view? Are there other 3 or multi-family units in the general vicinity of this property?
Yes, definitely.
You would say it's consistent with a mix of housing types, that there are single families, 2 families, 3, 4, etc. Within that general vicinity.
Yes, I believe the house next door is even a multifamily as well.
Okay.
This is Mr. Nystrom. I have a question for the applicant. What's the approximate square footage for this 3rd floor attic apartment?
It's approximately 800 square feet. It has already a very large finished, I guess, living area. That would be the kitchen and the living area. And then there would be space for 1 bedroom and a full bath.
Okay.
So this is the vice chair. To that point, so is it currently being used as living space for the 2nd floor apartment?
Yes, it's currently set up as a townhome style unit. So about half of the 3rd floor is finished space, whereas the rest looks like they started to finish it. It would just need finished walls, and then the plumbing and additional electricity.
And so by taking that away from the second floor unit, you would still be able to have a viable unit on the second floor?
Yes, there's 2 bedrooms on the second floor, kitchen, bath, everything.
Do any other members of the board have questions for the applicant?
This is the chair. I do have one. You mentioned that there, and I now see the floor plan, is that there's a front entry and a rear entry door. So there's 2 points of egress. Do those doors go into a common stair that
Yes.
is shared by the other dwelling units?
Yes.
So it doesn't, there's completely separated from the other dwelling units all the way down.
What do you mean completely separated from the other? Doesn't the first floor go to the second floor to the third floor? Same staircase?
Yeah, they share the staircase. Yeah.
Okay.
But I think, is it correct, the units themselves are delineated by walls and doors that open onto the staircase? So the staircase isn't open to the units. It's just as if this was an apartment building, you have a stairwell that's closed off and you go up the stairwell and you have to go through a door to get to your own unit. Is that correct?
Yes, correct.
So that already exists somehow?
Yes.
Why would it exist if it was only a 2-family? But it does, huh?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe they intended to make it a 3rd unit. I'm not sure, but it has already a really nice setup for a 3rd unit. Just needs the kitchen and the bathroom and finish the rest of the space.
Hello, this is the existing property owner. I represent the trust.
Could you
Eric Salomon.
identify yourself, please, and your address of residency?
Yes, this is Eric Salomon. I live at 560 Water Street in Warren.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm the 3rd floor, the stairway went up to the attic space that was partially finished years ago with the intent of making it a 3rd apartment, but that never happened. So there's actually some of the bathroom fixtures are already up there from that.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from members of the board? Are there any?
Yeah, this is the vice chair. I would just say, your plan doesn't show any, additions or enlargements, or just as a word of caution, that if you do, it looks like there is some historic features of the house that if you were to alter the exterior, you need to seek an opinion from the his voluntary historic district committee.
Yes. Yep. We have that on our to-do list.
Good, we'll meet again. Good. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one more, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Is the driveway for the proposed parking area, is that an existing curb cut, or would you have to go to the DPW to alter the curb cut to make that driveway and parking?
Everything, yeah, that's existing.
Okay.
Okay, are there any members of the public that would like to comment on this application? If so, if you could unmute yourself and identify yourself, name and address, please. Mr. Chairman, I am not seeing anyone step forward.
Okay, thank you. Then if there's no other additional questions from the public or the board now, is there anything that the board would like to discuss, or would we like to entertain a motion?
This is the vice chair. I'm prepared to do a motion first on the special use permit to allow this use in the zone. So I will move approval on the special use application, which is number 2054 for Salomon Irrevocable Trust owner and Edward Gauthier and Natasha Rippling, applicants, 676 Main Street, Plat 5, Lot 101, requesting a special use under 3247, seeking to convert a two-family dwelling unit into a three-family dwelling unit in the R6 zoning district. And granting the special use, we find that the proposal is in fact compatible with a neighboring land use based on the applicant's testimony and the board's knowledge of this area of town. It has a variety of existing historic housing stock of 1, 2, 3 plus unit housing. So it would be perfectly in keeping with the general area. It's not going to create a nuisance or a hazard in that the required parking is going to be provided on the site. We would stipulate as a condition that a more detailed parking plan acceptable to the zoning official be submitted to confirm that the parking is feasible and provides reasonable access. The public convenience and welfare would be served by this application in that it would add an additional housing unit to the town of Warren, where the building presently houses 2 apartment units and basically underdeveloped third floor space, which could serve as another housing unit. It would add to the diversity of the housing stock in the neighborhood.
There is a motion. Is there a second?
This is Mr. Nystrom. I'll second the motion.
Okay. Mr. Ranone,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Nystrom,
Yes.
Mr. Holby,
Yes.
Mr. Adelman.
Yes.
Okay, that is for application 20-54. Is there a motion with respect to application 20-55?
Yes, this is the vice chair. I'll make a motion on 2055 with all the same ownership and lot data as previously mentioned. In this case, they're seeking relief or dimensional variances with less than the required lot area, but less than required frontage, front and side yard setbacks. And its parking spaces are cited here, but it appears that they comply based on this plan they've submitted with the number of parking spaces required. In granting the variance, we find that it's due to the unique character of land or structure. The non-conformities are all existing. This currently is a 2-family existing non-conforming structure due to its existing dimensions. There's no evidence that the applicant has caused this non-conformity. The house was built prior to the enactment of the zoning ordinance, so the existing setbacks, lot coverage, frontage, etc., have all been present since the building was originally constructed, and the applicant is not proposing to alter those in any way. There's no evidence that it's going to alter the character of the area or impair the comprehensive plan. The building is currently a residential use. It's in a residential zone, and the proposed use will continue to be residential per the comprehensive plan citing this area for residential properties. The relief is the least relief necessary in that it is confirming the existing non-conformities on the property that are now going to be applicable to a 3-family unit as opposed to the current 2-family unit. In not granting that, it would be more than a mere inconvenience in that it would preclude full beneficial use of third floor portion of the property and would deny the town an additional housing unit.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Is there a second to Mr. Ellis's motion?
This is Mr. Nystrom.
Mr. Raynone, I'll second.
And we'll go with Mr. Nystrom making the second. Mr. Raynone,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mr. Holby,
Yes.
Mr. Nystrom,
Yes.
Mr. Adelman.
Yes.
Thank you very much. If you could, though, as part of, get us a revised parking plan,
Yes.
please, that would be helpful. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Good luck.
Mr. McCoy, just to keep you and Mr. Lippman in the loop, we still have not heard from Mr. Thibodeau. So we have one more application to go. If you want to wait this out, your choice.
See it to the end, Mr. Ray.
Okay, I mean, so be careful when you're driving home tonight.
Yes, indeed.
All right, the next application is 20-56, Wayne M. Jensen, owner and applicant, 96 Canario Drive, plat map 15A, lot 185, request for a variance under section 32-77 to construct a garage with less than the required side yard setbacks in the R10 zoning district. Mr. Jensen, if you've been before the board previously, and I know you've modified your original plan, if you would be so kind to explain to the board how you've modified that and what you're looking to do.
Yes, this is Wayne Jensen, 96 Canario Drive. After the previous meeting that we had here back in October, some things that I didn't realize were I probably should have spent a little bit extra time talking with my neighbors before I issued or put in the request to do this variance. The neighbor behind me, after she explained what her problem was with the garage I wanted to build, I could see what she was saying. I understood that when she comes out her back door, she would see a back of a garage. I guess you would call that the gable that pitches up, and it would be 5 feet from the fence. So what I did was I took it and moved it to 10 feet from her property line, which still allowed me to have room to be able to drive into the garage stalls around the deck that I have that's already there. And I turned the garage 90 degrees, so now she would be looking at the shingles of the roof and not see such a large wall there. And I don't see her on here, so I'm thinking that she was okay with that when I explained it to her after the meeting and show her my plans.
Paul, you're muted.
Yes, sorry, this is the chair. Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Could you tell us then on the zoning dimensional requirements that there was very little filled out, and maybe because some of the things do not apply to any relief that you're seeking? And
Okay.
is the only relief that you're seeking is this 5-foot side yard setback where 10 feet is required?
That's correct.
Okay, so that's the only variance that you're.
That is the only variance.
Okay,
Yep.
very good.
So this is the vice chair. Could you just speak to the relief granted must be the least amount of relief necessary? So if you could speak to how the 5 feet is the least amount necessary when we can see that the lot, definitely, you're not restricted by the size of the lot, but there is room to place this in such a location that you would have the required 10 feet. And can you speak to how this is not a result of your prior action of constructing the deck that's constricting the access to the garage?
Well, I see us having two options here. It was brought to my attention that the neighbor who I'm looking for the variance abutting his property had said that the reason I'm not able to build a garage is because I built the deck there, and he warned me that this would happen. So I listened to that, and after I left the meeting, I went back and looked at my property measurements, and to reasonably add a garage and attach it to my house, I would have to have a 24-foot garage and approximately a 5 to 6 foot breezeway to be able to have an entryway into my house. And putting that addition on the house would have to leave me with a variance getting up to 6 feet within the property. I only have 30-something feet between the house. I believe it was 32 feet between the house and the west side property line, and then there's measurements in the documentation I submitted.
But so the adding a garage onto the house is not the proposal that's before us. The proposal before us is for a freestanding accessory structure which is required to be 10 feet from the property lines.
Mhm.
So what is the hardship that's preventing it from being 10 feet from the side yard setback?
The hardship would be the financial cost of reducing the size of the deck, the way the deck is built, and I have plans in there for it. It's supported by the beam that's on the very west side of the deck.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the deck basically have to be totally removed and rebuilt.
Yes,
to
so
be
we
able to
saw, I
do that.
saw the plans, but your distress over redoing your deck is not necessarily a hardship. And specifically, the standard that has to be met is that the hardship can't be a result of your prior action. And since you constructed the deck, that would be a prior action. And it's not uncommon at all when undertaking new construction that sometimes existing conditions have to be modified to accommodate the new construction. So it's not unreasonable to expect that you may have to make some structural modifications if you want a garage of this size. I'm still remaining unconvinced that this is the least relief necessary and that the hardship was not caused by you, because I believe it was.
Okay. So then basically, because I built the deck there, I would have to have the garage 10 feet off the property line. I'm not eligible for a variance of to 5 feet. Is that what you're telling me?
Well, in my analysis of this, your lot is plenty large enough. There's nothing precluding the garage from going 10 feet from the property line. There's not another structure that's abutting it or another setback. There's plenty of space on this lot to locate the garage with that 10-foot setback. And the only reason why you're seeking not to have the 10-foot setback is because of your existing deck that you constructed. That's what you presented, that to modify that deck, you've claimed that to be a hardship. And in my view, that doesn't meet the standard, that the hardship can't be something that you caused to be a hardship.
So a hardship has nothing to do with financial
No.
cost or anything?
Nope. Nope. Cost is not a reason that the ordinance recognizes as a hardship. If the applicant is undertaking a construction project, then it's on the applicant's burden to assume whatever costs are necessary to complete that construction project. And if the applicant does not want to make that investment, then the applicant has the choice not to do the project, or to relocate the structure, or change the size of the garage or something. But just because it's going to cost more money to implement it is not a hardship that we can entertain.
Okay, well, I wasn't aware that that is what the policy or the procedure was. I thought a hardship is a hardship. So I apologize if I've taken up too much of your time.
Well, no, that doesn't mean your motion's not going to pass here. I mean, that's just my analysis. We haven't heard from the other board members. I'm just stating my analysis of what you've submitted. I still don't feel that it meets the standards that we're required to prove. Others may feel differently.
Okay.
Andrew, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
If this was John Sheridan, would you have the same feeling that about this, asking for a 5-foot variance? And we haven't heard from the neighbor to the west, but I'm just wondering if it's that strict for this particular applicant, and viewing the property and viewing the neighbor's property to the west with the fence, things like that.
I think the thing that I'm having a problem with is that in a lot of other circumstances, the conditions have been existing. The house already existed, or a garage already existed, or some accessory structure already existed on the property from the time it was built, and that to now put on their addition or make their modifications, they have a hardship because the building is the way it is. That's not quite the case here, in that the deck is what's causing the hardship. If not for the deck, the applicant would have no problem moving the garage over, and the deck was constructed by the applicant. So I'm viewing that as the applicant causing the hardship. Plus, we've had a letter from the neighbor and previous testimony from the neighbor that this is that he's opposed to it. And certainly, I think it's been the case that if there's not opposition to it, it's more likely because there's no demonstrated impact on the neighbors, there's no complaints. It may be more likely that it could succeed. But given that there is opposition to it, I think it needs increased scrutiny. And I don't think that in this particular case, it does meet the standards. And again, there are no other limitations. There's plenty of square footage on the lot to locate this garage anywhere. And certainly the garage could be turned the other way, another 90 degrees, and pushed more behind the house. You could have the driveway curve around. I think
So
there's,
then, if we
hold
did,
on, there's
okay,
a
I'm
lot of
sorry.
opportunity here on the site to design it in compliance with the ordinance. I'm not seeing any pressing reason why it can't be designed in that way.
So does a driveway take up your percentage of property that you can only use so much of when you
No.
build on it? No?
No, the
Because
driveway.
that means I would have to put a driveway in that's about 80 feet long and at least 20 feet wide to be able to drive into a garage where the doors are facing east and have to make that right turn.
Well, again, that's a design problem for you and your builder or architect, whoever you're working with, to analyze the site and decide what works on the site. Granting relief simply because you have to make something longer or bigger or change the shape of something is really not the way the ordinance contemplates giving out variances. And again, granting a variance means that there is no other really reasonable alternative, that you're asking for the least amount of relief necessary. And in my opinion, it's not necessary due to the fact that there's plenty of space to locate this garage or driveway or something to make this work.
So when a person opposes what you want to do, what's the basis of that opposal? Does it have to be, I don't mean like legitimate, but does it have to have purpose? Or can it just be things out there like I've seen Mr. Matrone's letters and he's saying that it would be a fire hazard because it would be a car in a garage and it would be a fire hazard next to his fence. Things like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Mr. Jensen, I think what Mr. Ellis is saying is that under the ordinance, I don't think he's even addressing Mr. Matrone's concerns at this point. He's
Okay.
looking at what the requirements in terms of the hardship is, as he referenced earlier. Is it the configuration of the land? Is it somebody built it before you? But this comes back to the deck issue. That,
And I understand that.
and so that does not, your cost to relocate, reconfigure the deck does not constitute a hardship under the ordinance.
Okay.
What about any other hardships? Maybe there's a hardship, I can't think of any, but maybe there's a hardship with where it's placed on the lot as far as drainage goes or anything like that. I don't know.
But this is the chair. Unfortunately, yeah, if there isn't any, I think I would agree with Mr. Ellis that on the premises that the deck was built by the applicant and that it is a hardship that was created by the applicant themselves, and now is asking relief to go around that existing obstruction. I think that I agree with Mr. Ellis that any construction project would have to consider some redoing or modification of existing structures to make something viable and work. We're both architects and we deal with this on a daily basis. So we know that there's some give and takes. And if, in this case, if that deck has to be modified to create access for a 2-car garage that you would like to build, then that's what you might have to do.
Okay. And you have they can take a vote and it may go up or down, or you can ask to continue the application and come back with a revised plan, which would save you the money of having to re-advertise and the application process all over again. That option is yours.
Well, I've weighed out the options and I've looked at if I remove the deck and put the garage attached to the house, I still need a variance, and that'll put me within 6 feet of the property line that's in question. I won't put the garage behind the house. That'll take up the whole backyard, and I think that would hurt if I ever did try to sell the house. I was told that one of the options would be to put it on the opposite side of the property, on the east side. Mr. Matrone said in his letter that there's 32 feet there and there'd be more than enough room. There's actually only 27 feet 2 inches between the house and the property line, which wouldn't give me the amount of property that I would need, the 15 feet. So
I think the message is that none of the comments tonight are in response to Mr. Matrone's prior testimony or letters. It's that this all comes back to the deck. If you're in a position to alter the configuration of the deck, then you may not need any relief in terms of variances.
And I see that as my only option.
If I may, by clarification of the site plan that we've been provided, you had mentioned discussions with your abutting neighbor behind you.
Correct.
That had affected the distance off the fence line.
Correct.
And that you were planning on moving the garage some distance further off the fence line.
Put it up 10 feet.
Am I correct that the site plan included in the current application does not reflect that?
It does.
So then the distance off the rear yard is 10 feet.
That's correct.
So that would also be a variance, as the required rear yard setback is 35 feet.
So, Jason, for the accessory, since the garage is not attached to the house, it only needs 10 feet on each side because it's an accessory structure. Now, the applicant.
I knew I was forgetting something.
The applicant talked about maybe connecting a different proposal for connecting the garage to the house, but that's not what we're talking about. Or he referenced putting it on the other side of the house, attached to the house. But if it's a freestanding garage, it could go on this side or it could go on the other side of the property, as long as it's 10 feet from the property line. And the applicant has made his case in his application and his testimony that the reason it can't go 10 feet is due to the hardship he believes is created specifically by the deck. And I think we've discussed why we think it's not a hardship.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Ellis. I knew I was missing something.
Okay.
Mr. Jensen,
any questions or comments?
No, I guess the comment I'll just make is that my only option that I see is to put the garage 10 feet off the property line where I'm wanting it, and removing my deck.
Well, I would just say it's not necessarily removing your deck. It may be altering the deck or reconstructing it in some way that I think you still have the ability to have a deck there. But if your driveway configuration needs to encroach closer to the house to meet the 10-foot setback, then the deck would appear to need some sort of modification. I don't know that it's an all or nothing.
No, it would go from a 12 to 14 foot deck to about a 8 foot or 6 foot deck. With the garage moving over 5 feet, that moves the driveway over 5 feet.
Well, again, that's a problem for you to work out with your builder, and maybe the deck gets bigger towards the back of the house, you gain more square footage. Again, there's a variety of design options you could explore to give yourself a similar square footage of deck, but respecting the setbacks.
Okay. I guess the last thing I want to say is I've looked at all those options. I mean, I don't want to be a jerk to my neighbors. I wanted to do everything the way it should be done. I've looked at, if I've been told I could put the deck behind the house, looked at it, there's a bulkhead there. There's a lot of issues on why it wouldn't work there. So I've run through all these things. I just didn't come blindly to look for a variance. So I'll have to go back and do my homework and figure out how I can do it with no setbacks.
Then I would suggest to ask for a continuance.
The suggestion would be you ask, it's, for me, when Mr. Holby said that,
Okay,
might change your mind in January, but at least so you don't have to start this process all over again, incur the costs for advertising and so forth. You can ask for a continuance.
okay. And how does that work? Do I have to do it in January, or do I tell you I'm not ready and do it February?
It would be continued to January. If you're not ready, we can continue it again to February.
Okay.
Is that
And
what
I
you
would
would
say that if you decide to ask for the continuance, the time, whatever, it's a month or 2 months you need, if you may need to consult with your builder or some other design professional perhaps to help you come up with another solution, but you've got time to explore some other options, other ways of constructing this proposed garage.
Okay.
So is your preference to ask for a month, 2 months, or you want to go?
I would probably go 2 months.
Okay.
So this is the chair, and Mr. Jensen, I would appreciate, that would help us understand that if it's 2 months, then someone else, another application can take that available spot to be heard in January. So we're not bumping people. So I appreciate your forethought in terms of needing 2 months versus hoping for one and then pushing again for another month.
So then I should ask for one, and if I can't make it, change to 2?
No.
We like the two-month request.
Okay.
So what we need to hear from you is just a formal request to continue the application to the February meeting, and that has come from you.
Okay. Please continue the application to the February meeting.
Is there a motion for that?
This is the vice chair, I'll make a motion that this application number 20-56 be continued to the February zoning board meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll make a second. This is Barrett.
Mr. Ellis made the motion. Mr. Holby seconded it. Mr. Renown.
Yes.
Mr. Nystrom.
Yes.
Mr. Ellis.
Yes.
Mr. Altman.
Yes.
Admin. I'm just calling people's names tonight. Sorry.
No worries. I'm used to it.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Jensen, we'll see you in February. If you need more time in February, we can continue it to March, but.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time, and happy holidays, everyone.
Yep.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you.
Mr. McCoy and Mr. Lippman, we just want to thank you for taking in a wonderful snowy night of This Is Warren zoning. I mean, can't get this on Netflix. Unfortunately, Mr. Thibodeau is not appeared.
Sadly, Mr. Woolley, I do not see his name in the gallery that I'm looking at.
Yeah, can I say something?
Certainly.
Yeah, I'm asking for the board to consider having a special meeting. We can't wait a month. Our firm has been in Warren for 12 years, paying our taxes on Water Street, Water and Church. This is a big move for us. Everything's been coordinated so we can get in there in March. We're going to lose a month now because, for whatever reasons, we didn't have a quorum tonight. And I'm really disappointed to see this.
Well, it happens, Mr. Lippman. I mean, we can consider having a special meeting, but I will say that members of the board are voluntary. Unfortunately, there are conflicts. We tried to solicit whether people would be here. We unfortunately had a member that had to resign due to a work situation that prevented him from being here on Wednesdays.
Okay.
So certainly we'd take under consideration your request to have a special meeting, but I will not let you comment that you're disappointed because these members they're not compensated for their participation on this board. It's entirely voluntary.
But,
I completely.
Let me just interrupt and say Chuck might be calling in right now. I just called him and he said he's going to try and call in.
Oh, that would be great.
Well, that would be nice.
Well, I just want to let you know, I totally understand. I've sat on the Warren boards and the Providence boards for 20 years, unpaid, crazy hours. I know exactly what you're talking about, but we're excited to move. So obviously being a delay of a month,
we get that.
People in a safe, location.
Yeah, and we totally get that. And we enjoyed working with
Mr. Warren.
Lady Sullivan. These things happen.
Is this holding up, this is holding up the building permit for the space?
Yes, and we're not asking for any special permission for anything except that, you know, the way it worked out with the project is you have to review everybody who comes in. And I think, you know, we're kind of a no-brainer since, like I said, we've been in town 12 years and we're a growing firm and we want to continue growing in Warren, and we're an architecture business. It's exactly who you want to have.
You know, Ms. Lippman, we get all that. I mean, we understand there's no exterior things happening. We know there's enough parking there. And it's just whatever the approval initially of this project is, that put this onerous responsibility that everybody has to come back for a special.
I understand.
I would just say I was not here then.
Well, I would just greatly appreciate it if you guys would make that consideration for us.
Barrett, anything, or Mr. Holby, anything further from Mr. Thibodeau?
He said he'd call right in. Maybe I can call him and maybe he can go over the phone if that's possible. Is that acceptable?
That would be fine with me.
Let's try one more time.
Mr. Ferrer, is that acceptable?
With these facts, yes.
Okay.
Hello?
Hi, Chuck. You're on speakerphone with the zoning board, and we want to know.
I'm trying to find the Zoom link. I can't find it.
Okay.
My car. No,
Can you hear him?
You're loud and clear, Mr. Holby.
All right, you're loud and clear. We're just going to, if you can, we'll start the meeting and.
I call Johnny home.
Okay.
All right.
So this is application 20-53, Terster Mill LLC owner and Fielding International LLC applicant. Sorry, I'm gonna just.
Some feedback.
Okay. Sorry for that. Let me just start over again, please. So this is application 20-53, Terster Mill LLC owner, Fielding International LLC applicant, 91 Main Street, plat map 2, lot 1. Request for a special use permit under section 3250 to allow for professional office use, architectural services in the special zoning district. Mr. McCoy.
Thank you. Just for the record.
Excuse me. I would just put, Mr. McCoy, excuse me, just for the record, I'm recusing myself.
Thank you,
So,
Yeah, and I'll be the acting chair for this application, Mr. McCoy. So please go ahead and explain what the proposal is.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. John McCoy for the owner and applicant. The applicant here is Fielding International LLC. I've been before this board, as you know, many times for tenants of Terster Mill. Just very briefly, because we've all had a long night. As Mr. Lippman said before, Fielding International is already a local firm in Warren. It's an 18-year-old firm, provides architectural services, really the low impact professional type office that I think the planning board was looking for when they approved this project back in 2014. 10 persons will be using the space at any one time. No hazardous waste. Parking spaces, again, first come, first serve. And just to keep you informed, I know you like to keep updated on the parking spaces.
We do.
This is approved. I calculate 17 spaces would be required. The 139 already approved. That would give us 156 of approved commercial, which would still leave 136 remaining commercial spaces. Again, I think it really meets the standard of 32-30 for special use permits and was what the planning board was looking for. I'll let Mr. Lippman jump in if he has any other comments or anything I forgot to add. It's 2,997 square feet and it's in the existing historic mill building as shown on the plans with the application. So with that, I'll be glad to take any questions or if you have any questions for Mr. Lippman.
I would just say it's basically on the corner as you're coming in from Barrington. It's the first corner that you see of the historic mill building.
Correct, Mr. Ellis.
And is there any contemplation of any exterior signage for the business?
We have our own door, which is one of the great things about that. So we probably have some small sign out there, which we know we'd have to get approved. So we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. But as architects, we have a really good design sense.
Well,
And also-
we'll look forward to seeing that design in your sign.
Yeah. And also, what was Mia and Greg Spees, who works with me, we both were the original members of the Technical Review Committee in Barrington that put in the original sign ordinance in that town. So we spent years and years reviewing signage. So I think we know.
We don't compare ourselves to Barrington at all.
Well, you notice I'm in Warren and not in Barrington for my business, right?
It's staying in Warren.
And we're staying in Warren.
Yes.
We go to
So,
lunch. The
general
restaurant-
questions, what are the hours of operation of the business?
Well, as you know, architects work crazy hours, but we usually come in around 8:30 in the morning and people usually shuffle out around 6:30 in the evening.
And you're not, you won't be having any disruptive deliveries or anything of that nature at the business?
No, we don't take in material.
And you have occasional clients that come to visit the business?
Not as much as you'd think. I mean, we occasionally will have a sales rep come in. Sometimes we have a client, but we do a lot of overseas work. It's all on Zoom like this.
So the impact is very low in terms of traffic flow?
It's very low.
Does anyone else on the board have any specific questions about the proposal? I'm assuming Chuck is all set as well. Do we have anyone in the public who'd like to speak?
Not seeing anyone, Mr. Ellis.
Very good. Does the board have any final discussion about the special use here? I would just say that I think it, as the previous special uses that Mr. McCoy has represented in this unique building, again, it seems to be what the comprehensive plan has intended for this. It fits with the other types of businesses. It adds the diversity of what we have here in Warren. And I don't see any reason why we should not approve this.
Mr. Ellis, I just want to add that we will timestamp in the minutes at the precise time that Mr. Thibodeau joined the meeting to ensure that we had a quorum.
Yes, I think that would be helpful. All right, not hearing any other discussion, does anyone have a motion on this application?
This is Mr. Rainone. I will move approval of application 20-53, Tourista Mills LLC owner and Fielding International LLC applicant, 91 Main Street, plat map 2, lot 1, request for a special use permit under 32-50 to allow for professional office use and architectural services in a special zoning district. In approving the special use permit, we do find that the subject applicant's business will be compatible with the neighboring land use. It is the type of low impact professional use that was considered most valuable when approving the original Tourista Mills project many years ago. It will not create a nuisance or a hazard in the neighborhood. It is a relatively self-contained business. We have heard testimony that there, even after this application, will still be ample parking available. It is compatible with the comprehensive plan in that it is both adding to the professional business stock of Warren, and it is retaining an existing Warren business within the town limits, which we are always happy to see. And the public convenience and welfare will be served in that we are continuing to add to the professional business vibrancy of the town of Warren, and we are continuing to improve upon and populate the Tourista Mills project specifically.
Thank you, Mr. Rainone. Is there a second?
This is Mr. Nystrom. I'll second the motion.
Nystrom seconds the motion. I will. Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Holby, I'm going to unmute you, or if you could unmute yourself, and you're still muted, Mr. Holby. You have to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Mr. Thibodeau?
Chuck?
Yes.
Mr. Holby?
Yes.
Thank you. No, not you. Mr. Nystrom?
Yes.
Mr. Rainone?
Yes.
Mr. McCoy, Mr. Littman, thank you very much for your patience. We apologize for the inconvenience. Happy holidays.
A special shout out to Mr. Holby for arranging the connection here at the last minute.
Yes.
We make things happen in Warren. Don't worry.
That's why Mr. Littman is staying.
Yep. We appreciate that. Thank you.
We love Warren.
No,
And we'll look forward to your magnificent signage proposal.
bye-bye, thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
So I know Mr. Edelman is going to rejoin the meeting and would like to address the board.
Yes. So I'm back. Thank you, Mr. Ellis. And for one of the administrative matters, unless anybody else has anything, I have some news to share. I will be resigning from the board. My last meeting will be in January. I've let the town council know a few weeks ago. It's been 10 years of service at the board, and I've enjoyed most of it. I cannot say everything of it, but for the most part, it's been a wonderful experience. And I've enjoyed serving with the various boards, and especially this particular makeup of board members. And but I think I've found myself that I have a lot of projects in town, and I'm continuing to recuse myself, and it's not going. Those aren't going to go away. As you saw today, I had to recuse myself from the Tourister application because I'm involved with a project right next door, and there's some other bigger projects in town. And so, but also I think 10 years has been a good run at it. And I think the board is in a very good position to resume their service without me. So I think if I didn't have feel that I had the confidence among my board members to carry on, I think I'd continue to make sure that the time would be right for me to step away.
Well, your leadership and professionalism, Paul, have been greatly appreciated, I think, and we're very excited about the design opportunities you're bringing to Warren with all these projects.
Well, thank you.
I'll ditto that.
Agreed.
Good job.
Are there additional data boys that would like to be distributed at this point?
I'm
I
going
would
to
say
leave.
why. I
So
mean,
I'm
I've
gonna
had
wish
to close
everyone
the-
a Happy New Year and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Happy holidays. to
Thank
everyone.
you.
Same
you.
to
Good
all.
night,
Whitman.
If you know of anyone that would be interested in serving, please let them know. And
So we will have a difficulty if we don't fill Jamie's seat right away, then we will be left with no alternates.
So the town council can't advertise for any of the positions until they accept Mr. Edelman's resignation, which won't be to the January meeting. So attendance at the January meeting is going to be, I mean, Paul has agreed to stay on, which is very helpful. Prior to that, his resignation will have been accepted by the town council, though I think there is a move afoot to like not take his resignation. So yeah, we're going to just need to make sure that all that are on the board, and Jason Nystrom, thank you tonight because you were critical to making us have a quorum, so we appreciate that.
That was fun to do something.
Well, yeah.
And Jason, you will be able to apply for a full board position.
That's correct.
Okay.
But once Paul, I mean, the first one to be advertised would be Jamie's, which would be, I think, the second alternate.
They're going to both be advertised at the same time, actually.
Same time.
They'll both be accepted at the January town council meeting. So there'll be two vacancies. Jason Nystrom has the opportunity to apply to be a full member. And then also at the February meeting, we are going to need to vote for a new chairperson as well and a vice chair.
Okay. And thinking ahead to January, 2020 is totally, I can barely think a week ahead at a time. Unfortunately, I do have a standing commitment on the third Wednesday of every January that I can't miss. So this January meetings, I'm going to look to see if there's any possibility that may be altered given the state of the world. But it's going to be very difficult for me to make the January zoning board meeting.
Mr. Rulli, if I could just interject, as you know, I'm going to have another Tourister Mill matter on for the January. So that may be an issue from what I'm hearing here.
I think
Paul's not going to be able to sit on that in the first place.
Right.
So
So, I
there's
mean,
a rule of necessity that if we have to have Paul sit on it, I mean, if there's no other available members, then we could also explore that, the rule of necessity.
Well, I also think that, because we're doing these over Zoom, if we have to have a special meeting and alter from the normal meeting date to accommodate the member schedules, I mean, certainly I think Mr. McCoy would be amenable to that. So we'll work it out.
Absolutely. Willing
Yeah,
to work.
it might be something that I can even call in like Chuck did. If we know it's going to be at like an 8:30 or 9 o'clock, I can take a quick break from the other
Again,
meeting.
yeah, I mean, if it's, so, if we have to take Mr. McCoy's application as a special meeting, I mean, these are pretty straightforward. We'll work that out, but thank you, Mr. McCoy, for bringing that
I'm
up.
glad to work with the board, however you want to do it.
And thank you very much, everybody. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn, and I just officially thank the chairman, Paul Adaman, for a great job over 10 years. And it's been a pleasure sitting next to you when we're doing this live.
Okay, well, thank you.
Is there a second?
I'll
Sure,
second.
I'll second it. I'll get to vote. I'll have fun tonight. And again, to Paul, thank you. This has been a really fun first year. I've learned a lot. It's been great to sit in the same room as you and listen to your input. It's going to be tough without you, but it's been great to get to know you over this past year.
Well, thank you. And I wish I could invite everyone out for a holiday beer after tonight's meeting, because that's what we usually do.
We'll have to have a post-COVID holiday / going away party.
Heidi, that's not on the record, by the way.
It's not on the record.
Jason, anything you want to add? Jason Renone?
Congratulations, Paul. It's always nice to be so busy that stuff like this needs to get set aside. So congratulations to you. Thanks for your service.
And from the town's perspective, I can say that we're working with Paul and Union Studios on the Warren Gateway project. We are going to be working with Paul and Union Studios on our revitalization of the Metacom Avenue corridor, which is very exciting. So I feel somewhat responsible for creating this conflict, but at the same time, I'm grateful that
now we know who to blame.
Union Studio brings to kind of put a signature on what we're trying to accomplish. So he's going away, but he's not going away. All right, everyone. I wish everyone a happy holiday, and be safe, be distant, and be good. We'll see you in January.
Great.
Everyone in January.
Christmas, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Happy holidays. Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
Happy